Hello everyone, and welcome to this ESO TV session coming to you live from Basel at the 10th European Stroke Organisation Conference. I'm Terry Quinn. I'm a stroke physician and researcher from Glasgow in the UK. I'm also chair of the ESO Guideline Committee, and I'm joined today by my co-host, who will introduce herself.
Thank you, Terry. My name is Francesca Romana Pezzella. I am a stroke neurologist. I'm based in Rome, and I'm here in the capacity of co-chair of the Stroke Action Plan for Europe.
And we are joined by two excellent in-person guests, and again I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Arlene Wilkie. I'm the Director General of the Stroke Alliance for Europe, and delighted to be here.
I'm Melinda Roaldsen, and I am a stroke researcher and stroke survivor, and I am here as COO of Stroke Action Plan.
And not with us in person, but still here in spirit and providing content, is our guest that's joining us on screen, who will introduce herself.
Hi there, my name is Avril Drummond. I'm an occupational therapist and a stroke researcher from the UK, and I'm very sorry not to be there at the moment.
So thanks everyone. The theme is highlights of the day, but we've been asked to specifically focus on something that's very close to all of our hearts, and that's the life after stroke. And it's something that's always struck me that in a conference that runs over 3 days, traditionally, 2 days and 3/4 of another day is focused on the first hour following a stroke. And then there would maybe be 10-15 minutes about everything else. But we all know that the everything else is just as important as that first golden hour. And I wonder if I can start just by, turning to you. So you have this really unique perspective. I saw you at this conference before presenting the TWIST trial, so you're an eminent stroke researcher, a stroke neurologist, but now you've got some new insights as a stroke survivor. And I saw you giving a talk today. It really, I must say it was an inspirational talk. Can you just tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the life after stroke, the life after, that first period of thrombolysis and thrombectomy and medical management? What are your insights into everything that happens after that?
Well, everything that happens after that is equally important to the acute management. To be able to live the life to the highest quality of life, I see as an important goal to all stroke survivors. And to be able to do that, each stroke patient is unique, and have unique goals and unique neurological potential. So it's important to maximize each individual's neurological improvement. Thank you. Thank you. Now, we have to, in a session like this, we have to talk about research. We have to talk about the large trials. It's a conference that's famous for its trials. But it is still the case that in those large trial sessions, there aren't as many trials focused on the life after stroke than we might want to see. I've got my own thoughts on that, but I wonder if I maybe turn to both of you. What are your thoughts? Why are we not seeing more large-scale, high-prominence trials that are focused on the life after stroke?
Well, if I may, I think as just Melinda said, it's maybe because it's a very difficult type of research. She mentioned that each patient is very specific. It's an individual, so there is a need to empower that neurological potential that is within each one of us. And I think it's very difficult maybe to apply clinical research in stroke with a patient-centered approach, aiming at quality of life, aiming at cognition, aiming at abilities that may be recovered and remedied after a stroke.
I think just to follow on from that, we have something that's the Stroke Action Plan for Europe, and it has a Life After Stroke chapter in it, which I know we all worked hard to get into that action plan. And a big theme throughout that chapter is that we don't have enough research into life after stroke. We also published a report last year, and it was a literature review of the unmet needs of stroke survivors. So there's a lot of unmet needs, and therefore so there's unmet needs, which means there's not enough research happening to meet those needs. And it also means that things like guidelines and also the national stroke plans aren't being adapted and changed because we aren't seeing enough research. Now, I'd like to hear from Avril, because there's also, we talk about high quality, different kinds of research, and where does life after stroke research fall into this kind of gambit of research? And just before maybe I pass on to Avril, life after stroke research is a new topic. You know, we have done so well in the field of acute research, so more people are surviving. We're doing better in rehabilitation research, which means that people are leaving hospital. So life after stroke research is still fairly new, so we maybe haven't got to grips yet with how we do this well, but we have to look at different kinds of evidence and respect that some evidence is good evidence and can also turn into guidelines. I would like to hear from Avril, who I know is doing this kind of research. What do you think, Terry?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's hear from Avril. What do you think, Avril? I mean, as chair of guidelines, I think I can be guilty of only focusing on randomised controlled trials, but it's not the only game in town, is it?
No, absolutely not. But I think Arlene has hit the nail on the head, because really it is worth remembering that it's only since 2018 that this has been recognised as a domain in its own right. We used to be hooked on with rehab as if they were one and the same, and they're absolutely not. So there are issues around funding. Because we're a new area, we don't have funding in the way that other areas have, and it's very difficult to do any research if you haven't got any money. But I think one of the other things to say is that very often, if we're looking at acute trials, if we're looking at rehab, we have a hypothesis that we want to test. At the moment, it's a bit like we want to climb a mountain and we haven't got a map or a compass. But apart from that, we also don't know which mountain we want to go up first, because life after stroke is huge. And as many problems as you can think of is all falling within that remit. So I think we need to think much more carefully, strategically, about which are the areas that we want to tackle first and how we want to tackle them.
I think that's a really important point, and I wonder if I can just expand on that a little bit, talking about one of the major trials that was presented yesterday was a trial called PESTO. It was a trial of a biological anti-inflammatory. It was a neutral trial, but what I thought was really interesting about that trial was the topic of the trial was chosen by stroke survivors in Australia. It didn't come from the academic community, it didn't come from central government funding. Stroke survivors had seen YouTube videos of this treatment. They wanted to know if it really worked, and so they were in the driving seat on prioritising that. And I wonder if that's something that we could see more of, but I don't know, what do you think?
I've just come from the Life After Stroke session that the ESO have put on today, and I had time to ask one question, and my one question was, life after stroke, is it aligned with patient needs? Just aligning with our question. I just wanted to hear what they said, and the first person that responded on the panel said, you need to have patient involvement. Patient lived experience, carer involvement right from the start to make sure that research is actually addressing a gap and therefore an unmet need. And again, that's changing a mindset, that it's not just about the researchers thinking that this research is important. It's bringing in the person and people with lived experience to say, is this important, and developing and co-developing it together. Interesting, that's just what they just said to me back in that meeting.
If I may, I have a question for Melinda then. Melinda, do you think this is the dawn of a new type of research? I think your contribution and your inspirational talk this morning was so important to me that I thought that from now on, everything is going to be different. And maybe, from your talk as well and all the work that we have been doing in the action plan, I think that there is a new approach to research in stroke emerging, and I'd like to have your opinion on that.
Yes, I definitely believe that is a new dawn of research. And for example, my physical therapist focus is not only to be able to walk again, but the quality of walking normally. And this is interesting, for what you measure in research is what you get out of research. So it is very important to have stroke survivors to tell what is important to measure.
Yes, I think this is another fantastic inspiration from you. I mean, she is going to change, for me, the outlook of research in life after stroke. Thank you.
So one of the things that I took from your talk this morning, which I have to just echo was such an inspirational talk, was a theme of hope. And in the late breaking trial session, we saw longer term outcomes from one of it was a mechanical thrombectomy trial. Most of these studies look at 3 months, but they looked at 1 year. And there were lots of people in the audience around me that were surprised that people were recovering.
But we shouldn't be surprised. We will know one can recover several years after a stroke. And that is why the follow-up we did in IS33 was 3 years. And it is unique for stroke RCT.
Yes.
So long-term follow-up is very important.
Very, you're right. Yeah, we have, and as you said, we obtain from research what we measure. So it's the quality, it's the well-being of the patients, of the stroke survivors that we really aim at capture with our research and improve.
And can I say something else? I wanted to focus on hope, because the first step of recovery is that the patient self believes that they can recover. It is very important that the person is given hope from the researchers and health personnel, and I met so fantastic people in my rehabilitation unit, and they gave me hope.
And I guess it's difficult to be the thing that you can't see, and that's why it's so important that at the conference we have stroke survivors like you showing that there is a life after stroke, and it's incumbent on us as clinicians and researchers, it's incumbent on people working in policy to really have that message for everyone to see that there is a life after stroke. So I think we could talk about this for a long time, but I am aware we have limited time in the studio. Maybe if I just go round everyone and you maybe give me just one message around life after stroke, if you'd like to start.
Thank you. Well, my message is that we need more patients and carers involved in stroke research design and in choosing, as Melinda said, the outcome. What are new? Maybe we need new outcome, new measures. Maybe research, quality research. It's a new era for stroke research. I think that begins today.
And I would like to talk about the European Life After Stroke Forum, which is a result of the Stroke Action Plan for Europe, which Avril instigated, which is a great place for people, hopefully in the future, to come and share their life after stroke research.
Just one thought or
One
comment
message.
on life after stroke.
I think it is very important to maximize the individual's neurological potential, and this is so important.
And Avril, I think you have the last word.
Okay, so I think actually Melinda said it right at the very beginning. This is about enabling people to live their best life, their absolute best life. It's about not surviving a stroke or perhaps being able to do a few things. It's about really living a meaningful life. And one of the things we have to think about very carefully is that although we want to increase research in this area, we still have to have a quality metric here. We're not just doing any old research. We may not be looking at large randomized controlled trials, but we still have to think carefully about the quality and the rigor of what we're doing here as well, and that's important.
I think that's a good message to end on. So if I can just thank you all for your contribution. Thank you for listening, and please do enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you.